everybody. Can you guys all hear me all right? Yeah? Okay. Thank you for that, Christy. I appreciate it. As Christy mentioned, my name is Kim. I'm with a company called Broadly. We're over at booth 318. And I'm glad you guys are here. I know that a lot of these types of shows sometimes are missing this element, and obviously, as you all know, this is a really important part of your business. So I'm hoping that at the end of this, you guys all walk away with some concrete takeaways, things that you can implement, at the end of this that will really help your business stand out online. So I like to start with you guys as the business owners. Here you are, you've been in your community 15, 20 years, maybe a few of you guys are just starting out. I recognize some faces that I've talked to today that's true for them. But the reality as a business owner, we know that the demands on your time are huge, okay? So you're managing a team, you've got to have insurance, you've got accounts payable, managing inventory. But we know that the key to the health and success of your business really sort of relies on this idea of word of mouth and referrals. Not only are you doing great work, but are people talking about it? But a lot of the problem with that is the word of mouth these days has gotten pretty slow. Would some of you guys agree with that? It's like, how can we get our customers to talk about us? They're our best salespeople. And that's where this part of your business has drastically changed in the last couple years, and I'm sure a lot of you would agree. And so, who are these homeowners and how can we understand them better? So as a marketer, I like to think about your customer as the modern consumer of 2018. So allow me to paint a little picture for you guys. This is Elsie, and I actually relate to Elsie in a lot of ways. She's a mom, she has young kids, she works, she's part of the PTA. The reality is Elsie's very busy. She's from Dallas, Texas. When Elsie has a question to an everyday common question, where is she going? Google, right? Maybe her and her husband get the rare chance that they get to go on a date night. What's she pulling up? Yelp, that's right. They get to take a vacation, she's dialing up TripAdvisor. The reality is our customers, your customers, no longer have to be tech savvy to get their modern day questions answered. It lives in their back pocket. So let's take, for instance, Elsie. She's new to the Dallas area. She's looking to do a remodel. Maybe they got the chance to build their dream home. And so, when she's looking for that common day every question, are you showing up? What's happening when she does a search like that? Elsie's not the only one. 80% of consumers use a search engine like Google to find local information. Who does this in here? By a show of hands. Is this how you're, exactly, right? This is how we are finding our businesses in 2018. So let's talk about what that looks like. You've seen this before. This is a familiar screen. If you haven't, you need to exit now. Just kidding. But this is Google. This is where we go when we need an everyday problem solved. So let's say Elsie's looking for a home remodeler in Dallas. This is what's called a category search, right? They're typing in their business need in their service area. And so let's talk about what comes up when a modern consumer does a search like this. Does this look familiar to you guys? Okay, a lot of times when you do a search like that, above this you'll see the paid ads that has the little green square. Those are people that have paid a pretty penny to come up first. But what this is called is your local 3-pack, okay? Google's goal in creating the local 3-pack was to match modern consumers with modern business owners, okay? I got a need, here's your business. And so who's chosen to be in that local 3-pack is organic. But Google gives us some hints about what their algorithms are and who they're choosing to showcase in here. And it's largely driven by consumer reviews. So you guys will notice DFW Improved has 50, I don't know if you guys can read it from there. They have 50 of those Google reviews with a 4.8 star rating. Unique Home Construction has 12, and then Dallas Home Remodeling doesn't have any. So as a consumer, who are you choosing on this list? Top, right? Most reviews, top. I'm landing on their website, want to learn more about them. That's key. As consumers, those stars or those Google reviews are really what help differentiate the choice for us. So if you're a typical modern consumer, your eyes are drawn to the highest rating, and you may start with the obvious choice. And you're not alone there. 88% of people trust an online review as much as a word of mouth referral. So this is where this really matters for you guys. Think about that for a second. I'm going to trust a stranger that I've never met before on whether they had a good experience with you building their home as much as like if my cousin Nancy used you guys and loved you. So this is why this matters. It's powerful. We are trusting these reviews like they were our neighbor's word of mouth living next door. And so as a business owner, you might be asking yourself, well, Kim, how do I compete in this marketplace where everything is crowdsourced by these opinions that seamlessly seem out of my control? How do I take ownership of this? And the reality is you can be a part of that process. And a lot of that is what I want to go over today. I know this can feel complicated and there's algorithms and it's like some of you just want to bury your head in the sand and keep building beautiful homes, but I'm here to tell you there's some things that you can do, like Christy mentioned, that are free, that don't cost you a dime, that will really make a huge difference in how you're appearing online to the people that are looking for you. So let's start here. These are the sites that I believe really matter when we're talking about consumers finding you online. It's Google, Yelp, Facebook, and your website. Now, of course, industry to industry, you're gonna have different sites, like Angie's List or House, but the reality is 90% start on Google. If you can win on Google, that's awesome. So let's really focus on the foundation. The reality is, when all these websites are working together and you have a strong presence on all of them, it creates your foundation for how you're appearing online and being able to win that business. So let's talk Google first. Most people are obviously familiar, as I took my toll, all of you guys are using this as a consumer, but as a business owner, let's talk about some of the fundamentals here. This is just a quick stat. So just by adding your business hours to your Google listing, you can boost click-throughs to your website by 42%. So I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty of your Google listing, but something that is as simple as just adding your hours. Because the reality is we're living, and I'm going to get into this a little bit later in the presentation, but we're living in a society where we want the information instantaneously. And if it's not there or easy to find, guess what? I'm moving on to the next business. So simply by knowing when you're open, it will increase the chance of me landing on your website. That's huge. So what does it look like when you've claimed and improved your Google listing? Here's what's really getting the attention of the page. So are all of you familiar that, do you all have a Google listing in this setting? Okay, great. If you don't, walk out of this room, Google the name of your business, and see if this pops up. If it doesn't, then you need to get a Google listing. Guess what? It's free. It doesn't cost a dime. Google tries to give every single business online, but a Google listing. But if you don't have a website or anything like that, sometimes it's hard to find you. Or it may look like a blank slate. So a lot of you may do that search when you get out of here and it may say, own this business, ? This is Google wanting you to engage with this page. You need to come in here and claim it. They're going to send you a postcard in the mail that will take you through the verification process of claiming a Google page. Please go do this if you have not done it already. This instantaneously builds you credit and rapport. When I, as a consumer, come across a Google listing that has not been claimed, really, business owner, you can claim your Google listing, it just instantaneously sort of puts them down in my book. So let's take a look at some of the other elements. Photos, huge. You guys especially, you're building these beautiful homes, you're doing these amazing projects. Showcase them here. That immediately shows off your work. It's easy to know where you're located, how to get in touch with you, a quick link to land onto your website. And then obviously this is where your reviews are going to be housed. This is where consumers are going to learn about a customer experience with your business. Any questions on the Google listing? Yeah.
So we're a production builder. We've been around for a long time. We have a problem with Google and old model homes or old salespeople that business now that numbers being out there. How do you go about getting out
Okay, so let me answer that in two different ways. If it's no longer like an active part of the business, obviously you can create a new Google listing. Or sometimes I get this question a lot. It's like, oh, we bought a business, and if they've got bad reviews, and we want to start over. So we can talk more in detail after, but there's a couple different options that you can do here. Sometimes you don't have a lot of options. Like they're like, oh, I have these negative reviews. They're not even my customers. That's just part of this. You got to play the game a little bit. The only way to bury those is to get new great reviews from your valid customers. But there are some things that you and I can talk about. But if there's old, outdated information, I'm going to show you guys where you access this page, where you can make the changes too. So let me get into that a little bit. Just in terms of the review piece, you guys, why these reviews matter, these are just a couple stats. So 69% of all clicks come from that local 3-pack. What that means is there's not too many consumers that are clicking more places and going, oh, I'm just curious who's in the 12th spot. I wonder how their reviews are. So being in that local 3-pack matters. And then 25% more clicks for a 5-star business than a 3-star business. So maybe you're relating to that a little bit. You're like, gosh, I just got some negative feedback online and it's not true to my business, and how do I get rid of it? We've got to bury it with more 5-star reviews. So let's take a look sort of under the hood a little bit with your Google listing. So if you literally type in Google My Business, this is where you can log into the back end of your Google listing. And so this is where you're going to be able to start leveraging a lot of insights. You're going to find out, are customers finding you through a direct search, meaning they're typing in the name of your business, or are you being found on some of these organic indirect searches? That's really good insight to know. You can also understand your client actions, like are there certain days and times of the week where your phone's ringing more? What kind of activity is your Google listing inspiring, in other words? You can also track your calls from your listing. Again, this is all data that's free to you guys. You just have to know how to use it. So being able to log into your Google listing through Google My Business will give you all of this information. This is where you can also read and respond to your reviews. If you're getting your customer to leave you feedback on one of these pages, say thank you, okay? Reach out and say, Mrs. Smith, thank you so much for your feedback. We loved building your home. We hope you live happily ever after. I mean, how long did that take? But this is where you're engaging your customer. They did you a solid, thank them for it. Let's talk Yelp. I don't know that this show necessarily has a ton of skin in the game here. Can you guys give me some feedback here? Is Yelp something you all rely on? Not so much, right? So I'm not going to spend a ton of time here. I work in a lot of different industries where Yelp is a little bit more important to them. And what once did start just in the restaurant business has really changed a lot. I mean, there's over 21 million reviews about home and local businesses on Yelp now. So, there is still a customer that would potentially go to Yelp and type in home remodeling or home builder. Some of my other industries rely on this a little bit more, but this platform matters, and this is usually the part of my talk where I get a lot of groans from the audience, because Yelp can be hard to work with. But they're a big ball player here. So, this is just another place where you would want your customers leaving you great feedback in case that there are people searching for you here. So much like Google, there's a lot that you can do with this page. I'll warn you, if you haven't claimed your page with Yelp and you now go do that, Yelp will call you and they'll want you to pay for advertising. That's sort of their hook. You claim it and now you're getting a lot of calls. I don't think you need to spend advertising dollars here. There's several things that you can do just for free. A lot of them include adding the photos, making it easy to contact you. They now have kind of a request a quote feature through this as well to kind of get some of those leads converted to customers. But pay attention here, because there's also a lot of insight from this as well. You can see your page activity. It's just a steady activity stream of who's visiting your site, how many visits you're getting. This is where you can also read and respond to your reviews. So with Yelp, maybe it's not as big of a feature here, but definitely something to pay attention to. It's funny, I've talked to a lot of you today, and a lot of you rely on Facebook. Is that true of this crowd? Cool. So, what once started as just our social network and a way to see our grandbabies and our, family and pictures has really, really taken a turn. Mark wants to compete with Google. You notice now in Facebook, you can search for anything on Facebook. He's wanting to become a lot more like Google, and so that matters for you guys as business owners. Here's a couple stats that are actually sad but powerful. 300 feet of newsfeed is viewed daily by an average user. That's the Statue of Liberty. Like, someone is just scrolling as high as the Statue of Liberty. And so what that means is there's eyeballs here. Like, you want people to see your content. And it's not just about like, oh, someone liked my page. Like, are your customers talking about you here? 1.7 seconds spent viewing each story. So a lot of you guys have told me you've invested in some Facebook, promoted, sponsored ads. Like, good on you. There's a lot of eyeballs here. That makes sense. And it's now, like I said, for small businesses too. This is their playground now, so you should be here. What does it look like? Again, it's different from just getting a like, which is what it was a few years ago. You now want content on this page. So add your photos, get your information, make it easy for people to get in contact with you. You can see 4.7 star rating with your reviews. That's where the reviews live here. What's really cool about Facebook that's different from any platform, and this where it ties into our social engagement is, and this happens as a young mom all the time, oh, like looking for a good daycare or need a good nanny, like any recommendations, right? This is what our social network is doing. So like, oh, looking to remodel my bathroom, any recommendations? What Facebook does is as your social network starts to give those referrals, if they notice that you have a Facebook page, they pull that page right in with your star rating and how many reviews that you have. So imagine if your sister's going like, oh, my brother's the best home builder ever, JB Homes, and she pulls it in and you have 1-star review. Like, that recommendation is not matching the reputation that you want online. And so that's why it matters to pay attention to how you're appearing on these pages, because you want to be a 5-star business online. And you want that personal recommendation to match who you are. Does that make sense? Any questions on the Facebook? Yeah. Totally. They're like, get out of my face. Please don't ask me any more questions. That's a great question. And we're going to dive into sort of this idea of like asking for feedback. And what does that look like? And there's a lot of strategies for it. Some work, some don't. But it's a great question. If you're asking me which one's the most important, my answer would be Google. It's just where everybody starts their search. Yeah. No. Because they're all competing, right? Like it's copyright issues at that point. You can't take a Google review and put it on Yelp, like they're two different platforms. So then it's about leveraging technology, like where can I get this in the most important places for the least amount of effort on the customer's standpoint, right? Because if we go like, oh, Mrs. Smith, I would love for you to leave me a Google review. And then they have to search for your Google review, and then they have to be a Google user, and then they've got to log in. They're done. They're not going to do it, even if they love you. It's too many steps. So it's like, how can we make this easy to get this feedback? And we'll dive into that. Thank you for clarifying. Nextdoor, again, feedback. I've heard that that's not too big of a ball player here, but if any of you guys aren't familiar with Nextdoor, it's really just more of a tight-knit community type of platform where like neighborhoods are getting recommendations from each other. They'll do like warning some crazy guy walking around our neighborhood. And so we also have an integration with Nextdoor where you can get great feedback on this platform. I don't know that it's caught the wave here yet. Let's talk about your website for a little bit. This is truly where you have complete ownership of your presence online, right? There are people in this room I know that do not have one yet. Please invest in a website. Why this matters is because the goal, obviously, when they come upon your Google page or Facebook page, is to land them on your site. This is where you have true ownership of your story. In your About Us, tell people, did your dad start the business? Did you take it over? Did you start it from scratch? You're coming into these people's homes or you're building their dream home. They want to know about you. Take time to really invest in the storytelling of this website. That goes for pictures too. Make it inviting. Something as simple as making your website easy to read and easy to navigate. Our, English I reads left to right. I can't tell you how many times I've come upon the website and the toolbar is at the bottom right-hand corner. I'm like, why'd you put it there? It's so hard to find. Just make it easy to navigate, make it inviting, and really tell your story here, okay? If you walk away from anything today, please make sure that your website is mobile friendly. Does everybody know what that means to have, okay, I see shaking of heads, that's good. Basically, we're all doing everything on our devices, okay? I mean, the chances of your customer really sitting behind the computer is pretty small. So does your website come across clear on a smartphone? If you're not sure, take a picture of this slide. This is just a quick test that you can run your website through, and it will tell you if your website is mobile friendly or not. If it's not, invest in whatever you need to do to make it mobile friendly. Google actually docks you, or in other words, penalizes you in searches when your website is not mobile friendly. So this is where you really want to, make sure that that's happening for you. Put your testimonials here. Yeah, it may take some time and effort, and maybe someone has to type those in, or you can leverage a technology that does that for you. But again, word of mouth online. People go to your website to read reviews. Put them there. It matters. Okay, so I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about sort of investing your marketing dollars. There's a lot of things, and you guys get inundated day in and day out. Try this, be number one on Google, give me your money. And a lot of you guys are like, oh, I don't even know what to do. Where do I start? Is this going to work? And so I kind of like to break it down into 3 buckets. So clearly advertising has always been there, but this is what has shifted. Back in the day, it was the yellow pages. How dare you not be in the yellow pages? Today, like, my kids will never even know what the yellow pages is. And so advertising now is your SEO, your pay-per-clicks. Maybe it's even the good old sponsoring your son's Little League. Like, that sometimes still matters in small towns. You've obviously got the budget of your website, and hopefully you've invested some marketing dollars there because it matters. But the bucket I really want to talk about is sort of this word of mouth marketing, and that's really what I want to pay attention to for the remainder of our time together. So, in my opinion, it starts with creating a system that really allows you to thank your clients for choosing you and ask about their customer experience. This is a huge missing part of owning a business, is we're not asking, hey, did you like me? Did I do a good job for you? Getting this information is instrumental in growing your business. It needs to be an automatic part of you wrapping up a transaction. And let's pause for a second and admit that that can be a little bit scary, right? Some of you may be thinking, well, I don't ask now, but if I do ask, like, maybe they're gonna just ring me, or like they're gonna leave me a bad experience. And I'm here to tell you, like, show them you care by asking. And the good news is if you're running a great business, and the majority of your clients are satisfied and you make it really easy for them, you're going to start getting great feedback on these sites. So I want to talk a little bit about how you're engaging with your customers. Let's talk about a couple different strategies. Is anybody asking about a customer's experience just in person after a job's done? Couple, okay. What about a phone call or a follow-up text message? Anybody doing that? A couple of you, okay. You can send like a postcard or a survey. Anybody tried that? Yeah? Okay. The important thing is you have to determine of these different strategies what works for your business. It's going to be different business to business, but I want to go through a little bit of these. When you ask somebody in person, you run the risk of, obviously it could be awkward and maybe they don't feel like they can actually tell you like, no, I don't like you didn't do a good job for me. And so then you're not getting honest feedback. The flip side of that is like, oh my gosh, I love you, I love my home, I love everything about you, thank you so much. And you're like looking around like, did anybody else hear that? That was a great review. But it just evaporates, right? And so the thing with a follow-up, postcard or survey is it's a pretty big ask. There's really low engagement. Again, like we talked about, if a customer has to go through a lot of steps or spend a lot of time, you're gonna lose them. And so what I want to talk about is leveraging technology to really make it easy for the customer experience and then yield great results for you as the business owner. So at Broadly, we really help solve this problem. So I'd like you to consider sending a note of thanks. So at Broadly, what we do is we brand a follow-up tool that looks like it's coming from your business. It can live in the form of an email or a text message. And it allows you to thank them and ask them this $1 million question, which is, would you recommend my business to your friends or your family, yes or no? So what's really neat about Broadly's technology is when they open this, whether it's on their smartphone, their laptop, we can read where they're logged in. So sir, this kind of answers your question a little bit. It's like, we want to take them to the platform where they're most likely to leave you a review. So by reading for a login, we're taking the guesswork out of, do they have a Google login? Are they a Yelper? Do they prefer Facebook? So when they press guess, if they're logged into Google, we take them directly to your Google box. So with one click of a button after leaving a review, you have a new Google review. I mean, that's how seamless it is for them. The least amount of steps for them to leave you feedback on their preferred platform is what really matters. And I'm going to head back to here because the reason we asked this yes or no question hits on some of the concerns I've heard from you was like, well, what if they didn't have a good experience? Crap, am I encouraging them to leave me a bad Google review? So when they press no, I would not recommend, they're taken to a page where you're encouraging them to leave their feedback because guess what? It matters to you as a business owner when someone didn't have a good experience. And so when they submit that, the business owner gets alerted live time with an email. So you know exactly what happened, why the customer is not happy, but you're getting it privately. And then it becomes a private conversation. And so now you have the ability to reach out and make it right with that customer before it lives anywhere else, right? Important part of that. This can also live in a text message version. So we realize a lot of customers like to be communicated with this way. If up until the end of the transaction you've been communicating with your customer via text, then send them a text message. If they've done great with email, it can live in the form of an email. So this is kind of a new and exciting part of Broadly that I'm excited to talk about. The reality is if you successfully implemented a system like Broadly or you just adopted a way to start asking your customers to get you reviews and now you're starting to shine online, the reality is, what's next? You want to attract more customers through Google, Facebook, but that important work is just beginning. The reality is timing is everything now. Like I said at the beginning, we almost demand instantaneous information. It's like, think of Amazon, right? Like, please tell me everyone in here has Amazon Prime. It's like, I read a review, I want it, I purchased it, and it's at my doorstep in 2 days. Amazing. But we now sort of have adopted this instantaneous expectation from our business owners. I want a quote, get back to me. If you didn't get back to me in 2 minutes, I'm moving on to the next guy. And this is sad, but it's true. And so are you engaging with this? And how do you engage with this? This is pretty crazy. This was according to Visa, that 89% of consumers expect a fast response from a customer inquiry. So think about that. 89%. That's a really, really high number. Speed is the expected norm here. So what's really neat about Broadly is we now have a web chat feature. So obviously if you're standing out online, the goal now is for them to go to your website, get more information. And so what's going to happen is they're going to say like, hey, looking to get a bid, on my remodel. When are you available? So we now, through this web chat feature, have the ability to have an automated response so that you engage immediately, they're hooked in, and then we feed that lead right into your lap. And so now you're able to message this client through our app. You can get all your information that you need from them before you've even had to pick up the phone. And what we know, you guys, is this is actually how consumers want to be communicated with, is this idea of instant messaging, getting their information right away. And so this is a really, really exciting part of our technology now. We can help you with this. We have the tools that sort of bridge the gap of you're standing out online, but how do we convert that person to an actual customer? And we know that missing piece is how easy it is to get in contact and get the information that they're looking for. So this is just a basic case study, and we have a few at the booth that we've done where, you know, we've started out with these business owners and they've just said, like, look, I don't have a digital imprint. I'm not showing up online. I'm not coming up in a search, and I don't have any reviews. Can you help me? And so, you know, my question is always, do you do good work? Are you trustworthy? Then I want to partner with you. Because if you guys are doing a great job, we make it incredibly easy for your customers to leave you great feedback online. And now we're really going to help them get in touch with you much easier. So that's really sort of what Broadly's all about. But more importantly, you guys, I just want you to walk away from this meeting knowing that there are things that you can do on your own. You don't have to sign up with Broadly to implement a system. Like maybe you just try emailing them and put your links in there. Like it's something, but please start asking about your customer's experience and engage your customer. Show them that you care, and then, you know, really focus on these pages, your listings, and the things that you can do that just immediately increase your credibility. At Broadly, we like to call it your social proof. It's like you're as good as you say you are because other people are saying it too. And that's where it matters to have content on Google and on Yelp and in Facebook. So I wanted to leave some time at the end for some questions. I know that there may be questions that, you know, everyone can benefit from hearing an answer for, but also if it's something you're interested in seeing a full demo or learning more about, we're at booth 318. We'd love to kind of look at your pages, see how you're currently showing up right now, and be able to help you out. So I really appreciate your guys' time, but are there any questions? Say that one more time. 318, we're at booth 318 in the front. Yeah, questions? To go to like where they're going to house. So those are one of the websites, and again, they're right next door to us. They're a great company and obviously really, you know, relatable in this industry. You just have to think about the consumer and where they start their search. And so what we know is that they don't start at Houzz. You know, a lot of consumers don't even know that Houzz has reviews on there or any feedback on there. They know that Google does, and so you need to think about, you know, where are you trying to really catch the everyday modern consumer. And so it's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't want to, you know, sort of discourage anybody from using them and their marketing capabilities, but you really need that content to live on the sites we talked about today. Great question. Anybody else? Questions? Yeah.
How do you
Sure, good question. So what he asked, for those of you guys that couldn't hear, is like, how can you gauge, you know, if these pages are working for you, or, you know, in essence, the ROI, your return on investment if you've spent some dollars here. So the Google My Business is one, because that's where you're going to get a lot of insights. But another one is, as you guys start to get more business, ask them how they heard about you. Hey, where'd you get my name? Oh my gosh, I read your reviews online, you're awesome. And then you really start to know, like, okay, this is mattering to me. If you invest in something like the Facebook ads, you'll get that data right away. I mean, if you spend money on Facebook advertising, they're going to show you how many impressions you got, how many click-throughs to your website you got, and really pay attention to those numbers. Because that makes it like, okay, was this a worthwhile investment? Did I spend my money wisely here? But I would say through like the Google My Business, and if Yelp's one, and the Facebook, like you can leverage those insights that they give you behind the scenes to really understand like how these pages are working for you? It's a great question. Anybody else? Yeah, another one. Sure, great question. He asked, is the content that you're actually posting on like Facebook and Instagram as important as the reviews? In this industry, I would say it is. I mean, you guys are building these homes, doing remodels, like as a young homeowner, like I'm clicking through design idea, and those pictures matter. So like I would say for sure spend time there, like putting that content, but the word of mouth and the testimonials is what's gonna earn you the business at the end of the day. But I think both matter. Yeah, great question. Anybody else? Yeah.
I'm on the job site start to finish on Instagram and Facebook. Do you think it's worth posting little pictures during construction, or do you need to just focus on this video?
Don't you love before and after pictures? I sure do. Yeah, and again, it's engagement. The more you post, it's content, it matters. If you've got the time, I would encourage you to do it. Great question. Good questions, I love it. Anybody else? Yeah? I have business cards up here if you want to come grab one too. And we'll obviously be here. I don't think the exhibit hall goes on much longer, but we'll be here all day tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for coming. Really appreciate it.